Time has a cruel habit of making everyone grow up. My grandchildren are no exception. Illyra now commands her own exploratory fleet, her hybrid ships gliding through gas giants and scraping comets for research. Corin, the diplomat, bends stubborn humans and dragons alike into alliances with charm and the occasional burst of fire-breathing intimidation. And Selka? She runs the accidentally dangerous inventions division of Redreach. The explosions are quieter now, but only slightly. They return to our home, Redreach, not because they must, but because they choose to. A rarity in any era. I watch from the ridge, my wings draped, my scales catching starlight. I haven't aged in decades, but I still enjoy judging them. Their first adventure back together started with a signal from beyond the nearby star system. A human research vessel in trouble on a derelict asteroid belt. Of course, the youngest of Tharion's kids, tiny sparks of chaos, wanted to join. One of them protested. "Illyra, it's dangerous." "Exactly," she replied. "That's why it's fun," I groaned. By the time they left Redreach, the signal had already attracted 3 minor space pirate clans and 1 bureaucrat with the temperament of molten iron. I exhaled smoke. Here we go again. The asteroid belt was a mess. Illyra piloted, Corin negotiated, and Selka, she exploded things strategically. And yes, chaos ensued. Asteroids collided, sparks flew, and at one point, a pirate ship crashed into a research vessel while arguing about parking rights in zero-G. I nearly intervened, but I restrained myself. Let them learn. By the end, the research vessel was saved. The pirates were terrified, partly due to Selka's engineering. The team had learned about teamwork, and they probably destroyed 1 small moon. I sighed. At least they remembered the basic lessons. Back on Redreach, the grandchildren reflected. Illyra had command skills but struggled with delegation. Corin could persuade anyone but often acted before thinking. And Selka? Well, Selka was brilliant and occasionally terrifying. I gathered them on the ridge. "Leadership," I said, smoke curling from my nostrils, "is knowing the difference between controlling everything and controlling nothing, and failing gracefully." They groaned. "Yes, grandfather," they said in unison. "Yes," I replied. "Now pay attention next time someone tries to launch a comet at a pirate fleet." The galaxy had shifted since Redreach became a refuge. Old Concord bureaucrats still grumbled. Minor empires squabbled. And rumors were spreading about a new faction of rogue Dragonkin, angry at the freedom Redreach represented. I watched carefully. Illyra wanted to investigate. Corin wanted to negotiate. Selka, she wanted a bigger explosion. Predictably, chaos won. The rumors were correct. A rogue faction calling themselves the Ashen Talons believed Redreach's freedom threatened all traditions of draconic hierarchy. Naturally, they arrived unannounced, with ships larger than some planets and egos bigger than entire galaxies. Illyra frowned. "We need to talk to them," she said. I rolled my eyes. Talk? My grandchildren were about to negotiate with beings who would literally incinerate them for breakfast. Corin led the diplomatic approach. Illyra followed with tactical positioning. And Selka. She flew a prototype plasma cannon just to impress them. Within minutes, 1 Ashen Talon ship caught fire. Their captain was convinced Selka was a demon, and 1 minor planet narrowly avoided obliteration. Controlled chaos, I murmured approvingly. The grandchildren survived. Barely. But they learned the first rule of Rogue. Diplomacy. Never let anyone underestimate you, especially when flames are involved. The Ashen Talons weren't just brutes. They had plans. Corrin tried reasoning. Illyra tried strategy. Selka suggested building a massive decoy planet. Eventually, Corrin sighed. We may need alliances. Ah, I rumbled. The old human habit. Beg for friends before they burn you. They listened. Eventually. Of course, the galaxy doesn't wait for proper introductions. One night, under a shattered moon, the Ashen Talons launched a covert strike at Redreach's orbit. Corrin barely deflected the first salvo. Illyra coordinated the fleet. And Selka accidentally discovered a weapon that created temporary wormholes, useful, terrifying, and entirely unintended. I sighed. You three are lucky you inherited both brains and fire. And that I'm immortal. They didn't care. They were exhilarated. After the smoke cleared, they gathered on the ridge. You survived, I said. Barely. But you survived. Selka frowned. Grandfather, why do you always make it sound like we almost died? Because, I replied, curling my tail in the dirt, you almost did. And the lesson is that nearly dying is excellent for character development. They groaned. I smiled. It was going exactly as I hoped. Diplomacy, my dear grandchildren, is a trap. Especially when your potential ally smells faintly of sulfur and refuses to smile. A new figure appeared. Lorien, a young Dragonkin claiming allegiance, but his eyes flickered dangerously. Illyra immediately mistrusted him. Corrin saw an opportunity. Selka wanted to dissect him. I observed silently. Of course he betrayed them. The ambush happened during a routine supply mission. Ships disabled, crew captured. Selka nearly vaporized one of their own ships testing a countermeasure. Corrin negotiated bravely, but even Illyra's maneuvers couldn't anticipate everything. Lesson 1. Never trust a Dragonkin with perfect teeth. Lesson 2. Always have a grandfather who can obliterate things when necessary. Meanwhile, hearts began to tangle. Illyra found herself unexpectedly fond of a brave, reckless pilot. Corrin noticed an old friend rekindling feelings he didn't know he had. And Selka became attached to a tiny AI drone she insisted was alive. Ah, youth. Heartache and fire, all in equal measure. After escaping the ambush, they had to rethink everything. I snorted smoke. Do you really think the galaxy will wait for your feelings? Yes, grandfather, Selka replied. But emotions make the explosions prettier. Touché, child. By the time they returned to Redreach, bonds had deepened. Good, I muttered. You've learned something without dying, yet. The Ashen Talons hesitated to regroup. Why? Word had spread that Redreach had Illyra, Corrin, and Selka working together. Even rogue Dragonkin fear what they can't predict. You should thank me, I said. Selka muttered something about being too competent. I ignored her. For a brief moment, Redreach felt like home. The grandchildren laughed and shared stories. I sat on the ridge, watching stars ignite and fade, and realized something terrifying. They were becoming more capable than I ever expected. And one day, perhaps they would need me less. Then, a distress signal returned from a remote mining colony. By the time they arrived, the Ashen Talons were already there, ships surrounding the colony like predators. Illyra took command. Corrin coordinated evacuations. And Selka, she accidentally created a small wormhole mid-combat, which swallowed one Talon ship entirely. I muttered something about restraint, but the grandchildren were exhilarated. Sometimes mistakes are the most effective strategy. During the battle, they confronted the survivors. Elira's charm inspired loyalty. Corin's skills avoided unnecessary destruction. Selka insisted the colony adopt her AI drones as citizens. I nearly roared in exasperation, but also approval. The Ashen Talons had underestimated them. By combining ingenuity, firepower, and sheer reckless courage, the grandchildren forced a retreat. I clapped my claws, quietly. Finally, they understand what I always knew. Family is terrifyingly effective. The colony was saved. Casualties were minimal. Galactic reputation of the grandchildren, enormous. In quieter moments, hearts tangled further. Elira and her pilot finally admitted their feelings. Corin and an old ally realized their partnership was more than professional. And Selka's AI companion achieved a new level of sentience. I exhaled smoke. Love is chaos, too. The grandchildren returned to Reedreach, battered but triumphant. I sat on my ridge. You did well, I said. Thanks, grandfather, they chorused. I pretended not to smile. Stars glittered across Reedreach. The galaxy was far from safe. But they had learned something essential. Courage, intelligence, and love could triumph. And I finally allowed myself a moment of satisfaction. For the first time in centuries, the legacy of fire, wisdom, and sarcasm was in good hands. They returned home not as children, but as adults with scars and stories burned into their hearts. Then came the news. Elira was expecting. Corin found love. And Selka adopted 2 stray AI drones as quasi-children. I leaned back. Congratulations, everyone. Now try not to burn the planet. They ignored me. Naturally. They began teaching the younger generation everything from flying lessons to how to survive an accidental plasma cannon. I'd interject occasionally. Remember, the universe doesn't care if you are brilliant. It just tests you endlessly. One evening, I gathered them all. Look at these stars, I said. They've died and been reborn. You will too, Elira whispered. Grandfather, are you proud of us? I exhaled smoke, curling my tail around them. Yes, I said, I am. But don't let it get to your heads. Years passed. Children were born. Laughter echoed. And me? I watched. I judged. I teased mercilessly. One grandchild asked, "Will you ever retire?" I chuckled. Retire? I am the undying flame. I merely observe while you all make the messes I'll enjoy for centuries. Reedreach had become a home, a legacy. Through it all, I remained a sarcastic, ancient presence, reminding them that mistakes are lessons, fire is warmth, and laughter is essential. I exhaled smoke, looking out across the horizon. The stars sparkled, the future glimmered, and for once, the universe felt right. The fire continues, eternal, untamed, and occasionally inconvenient, just like family should be. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more stories.